Hello there, I'm Susanna Kinsella. I'm an advisor with the James Lind Alliance, and I'm going to be chairing the Paediatric Intensive Care Nutrition Priority Setting Partnership Workshop on Thursday, September the 23rd. Thanks very much for agreeing to take part, and thank you also for tuning in to this presentation. Before you watch the rest of this video, please make sure you've watched this 3-minute animation that you've been sent a link to. This tells you about the James Lind Alliance and all the work that has happened before this final workshop. So here's what I'm going to cover now. I'm going to explain the purpose of the workshop, and then I'll describe what will happen at the workshop, and I will end by talking through what we would like you to do in order to prepare to take part. Along the way, I'm going to refer to some of the documents you've been sent. You will have been emailed a pack, and that will also have been sent to you by post. There's another video we'd like you to watch, and in that video my colleague Graham O'Connor will explain a little bit more about the project and the priority setting partnership. This is the final stage of a project called the Paediatric Intensive Care Nutrition Priority Setting Partnership. This workshop will bring together family members of those who've been treated on paediatric intensive care units and healthcare professionals. The mission will be to agree a top 10 list of questions that you want research on PICU Nutrition to address. It will be working together, you'll be discussing the questions that you will have seen in your packs, and afterwards the top 10 list will be promoted to researchers and to organisations to fund that research. The participants, that's you at each workshop, are made up of 6 to 8 families whose children have been treated on paediatric intensive care units and 10 to 12 healthcare professionals. At the workshop, you're going to be supported by 3 James Lind Alliance facilitators, my colleagues Mary Rose Tarpey, Tricia Ellis and me. As well as participants and observers, we will have a dedicated tech support person, that's Amber Jefferson, and she'll help you if your Zoom connection goes wrong. We'll also have a handful of observers who will also introduce themselves, but they aren't going to take part. They will just be watching the proceedings and trying to get an understanding of the process. In document A, the participants' guide to the workshop, you'll find a detailed description of how this is all going to work. But in short, you'll log in at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, 23rd of September, on your computer, laptop or tablet. This allows a bit of time for people to log in just to check if there are any technical issues. I will greet you, we will make sure everything is working, and then if you want to switch your video off, mute yourself and make a cup of tea, then feel free to do that. We will start the workshop at 10 a.m. and I will do an introduction where I will do a roll call to make sure that we can all hear each other, and I will talk through some of the ways of working. Then for most of the workshop, we will be working in small groups to discuss and rank the questions. So one thing that we really need you to do is to make sure that you've completed your worksheet, that's document C, and that you have that to hand. Zoom has a feature where you can go off into virtual breakout rooms, so that is what we will do, and there will be about 5 or 6 people in each group. There will be a mix of families of children treated on PICU and health and care professionals in each group, plus your facilitator. These rooms will be automatically allocated, and all you have to do is to click OK on your screen to go into the room. You will have discussions with other people. The facilitator will share their screen and you will see the questions being moved around and moved into ranked order as you have discussed and agreed with other people in the Zoom room. When we do this in person, we have the questions printed onto cards and we move them around the table so people can see as they're moved into ranked order and identifying the top 10 that they think are the most important. So this is a virtual version of that. We have included some cutout questions in your pack, that's document E, and you'll be able to follow it on the screen, but if you find it easier to have something physical in front of you, you can cut out those questions and lay them out in front of you as well. There are going to be 3 small groups, and all the groups will prioritise the questions, and we will combine all the results to create a shared priority order of questions. Over the course of the workshop, there are 2 rounds of prioritisation. For the second round of prioritisation in the afternoon, we will mix up the groups. So you will get to hear a range of different points of view, and different people will get to hear your point of view throughout the workshop. At the end of the afternoon session, we will come back into the main room, Zoom room, and I will present the top 10 questions, and then we will hear about the next steps, what's going to happen with those priorities, and the plans that we have for these. So we know after over 18 months of this pandemic that working online can be very intense and quite tiring, which is why we've scheduled plenty of breaks, during which we will encourage you to take a break away from your screen. But if at other times you need to take time out or step away from your computer or switch off your video at any point during the workshop, please feel free to do that. I just want to say a few words about your facilitator's role. So as I mentioned, there is one James Lind Alliance facilitator per small group. Our job is to manage the discussion, and we will make sure that everybody has their say. We will be fair and impartial, and it's worth knowing that we are neutral facilitators in this process. None of us are experts in paediatric intensive care or nutrition. We are not medical researchers, and we do not have any clinical background. We are just here to make sure the process is inclusive and that it runs in a fair way. So we will keep to time and make sure that the task is completed. We are there to support you and everybody else. Your role in the workshop is to contribute to the discussion, and we really hope that you will work in partnership with each other. We would like you to respect different opinions as well. Whether your opinion comes from your personal experience, from your professional experience, that is of equal value to this process. All views are valid, and there is no hierarchy between the different types of knowledge that we are going to hear around the table. We want you to focus on what you want researched, not how you would do the research or whether or not you could do the research. At this stage, these priorities are not written as final, perfect research questions. They are priorities and themes that have come from people who, in the most part, are not researchers. There will be another stage after this project to turn them into research questions, so we will not be having that discussion at the workshop. We will just be focusing on what is important to all of you. We will ask you to be mindful of the time, as there is quite a lot to get through during the workshop, and we will ask you to respect confidentiality. I will say a bit more about that on the day, but we ask you, for example, not to take screenshots or not to share the results externally until we are ready to launch them. Just a quick word on group decision making. It can definitely be very challenging, and it requires people to be reasonable with each other and sometimes compromise. When you look through the questions and you start to work out what you would want the top 10 to be, your top 10 is probably not what the final shared top 10 is going to look like, because that final top 10 will be one that's based on a collection of voices, all of whom want research to make a positive difference to nutrition in paediatric intensive care units in the future. However, if one or two of the questions that are important to you do make it into that top 10, I do hope that will feel like a real achievement. Please know that all the questions will be published. They are all going to be made available to researchers. We create a top 10 because in a world of limited research funding, you have to have a focus, but nothing will be lost if it does not get into the top 10. If you have any concerns during the workshop about any of that, you can talk to your facilitator. So finally, I'd like to say that we're really grateful to you for being part of this. I look forward to meeting you and to working with you at the online workshop in September. Thank you.